There is a man you know. Maybe you grew up with him. Maybe you work with him. Maybe, if you are being completely honest with yourself, you are him. He is helpful, reliable, always available. He never says the wrong thing, never rocks the boat, never makes anyone uncomfortable. He remembers birthdays. He offers help before it is asked for. He laughs at jokes he does not find funny. He agrees with opinions he privately disagrees with. He is by every external measurement a good man. And yet, women do not choose him, or if they do not stay. The relationship erodes, not with drama or cruelty, but with a slow, quiet loss of something she cannot name and he cannot fix. At work, he is overlooked for the promotion. His ideas are borrowed without credit. He is everyone's favorite colleague and no one's first choice for leadership. His friendships are warm, but surface level. People like him. Nobody respects him the way he quietly, desperately wants to be respected. He cannot understand why. He has done everything right. He has been everything the world told him a good man should be. What he does not yet understand is that he has fallen into one of the oldest traps in the history of masculinity. He has confused being agreeable with being worthy, being liked with being respected, being nice with being good. This video is about that trap, where it comes from, what it costs, and how the Stoics, men who faced war, exile, slavery, and the full weight of human cruelty, got out of it. If any part of what I just described sounded familiar, stay with me. Before we go further, let us be precise about what we mean by the nice guy, because this is not about kindness. The world needs more genuine kindness. This is not about generosity, patience, or care. These are virtues. The nice guy, and I am using the term in its clinical, psychological sense, is something different. He is a man who has built an entire identity around being approved of. Dr. Robert Glover, who wrote extensively on this pattern, described the nice guy as a man who believes that if he is good enough, helpful enough, and agreeable enough, people will like him, love him, and meet his needs. He operates on an unspoken contract with the world. I will be pleasant and accommodating, and in return, you will give me love, respect, and security. The problem is that no one signed this contract, and the world does not honor it. The 5 hallmarks of the nice guy. First, he is approval dependent. His emotional state tracks the reactions of others with near constant attention. If she seems distant, he is anxious. If his boss seems displeased, he cannot focus. If a friend seems irritated, he replays the conversation for hours trying to find what he did wrong. Second, he is conflict avoidant. He will absorb enormous amounts of discomfort, unfair treatment, disrespect, situations that do not serve him, rather than risk the discomfort of confrontation. He tells himself this is patience or maturity. It is neither. It is fear dressed up as virtue. Third, he is covertly transactional. The nice guy presents himself as selfless, but his giving is not free. Every favor, every act of accommodation, every time he says yes when he means no, there is an invisible expectation attached. When the expectation is not met, he does not express it directly. He withdraws, sulks, or explodes at something unrelated. The people around him are confused. He is confused. Fourth, he hides his needs. He has learned, somewhere along the way, that having needs is a liability. Needy men are not respected. So he buries his needs and tells himself he does not have them, until they erupt sideways. Fifth, he does not know who he actually is, because he has spent so long shaping himself to what others need him to be. The question of what he actually wants, thinks, believes, or values is genuinely difficult to answer. He has been performing for so long, the performance has become the person. Does any of this sound familiar? Good. That is awareness. And awareness is where everything begins. Nice guys are made, not born. And they are almost always made in childhood. Think about what a young boy learns from the environment around him. He learns that certain emotions are acceptable and others are not. Happiness, enthusiasm, achievement, these are celebrated. Anger, sadness, fear, neediness. These are met with discomfort, dismissal, or punishment. He learns to perform the acceptable emotions and suppress the rest. He learns that love is conditional, that approval can be earned through behavior, that keeping the peace is safer than telling the truth, that shrinking himself is the price of belonging. Many nice guys grew up in homes where a parent was emotionally volatile, where the atmosphere could shift without warning, where walking on eggshells was a survival skill. The boy who learned to read the room, stay quiet, be helpful, and never cause trouble, was a boy adapting to a genuinely threatening environment. He was not weak, he was smart. He developed a strategy that worked. The tragedy is that he carries the strategy into adulthood long after it stops working. What kept him safe at 8 years old makes him invisible at 35. The cultural reinforcement. This is not only a family story, it is a cultural one. For the past several decades, boys have received a very specific message about masculinity. The old model, stoic, strong, decisive, was labeled toxic. The new model prescribed sensitivity, agreeableness, and the near constant management of other people's feelings. Boys were not taught to feel their emotions and act with integrity. They were taught to perform softness in order to be acceptable. The result is a generation of men who are neither authentically strong nor authentically sensitive. They are simply compliant. And compliance, however well-intentioned, is not a foundation for a life. The Stoics would have seen this clearly. Epictetus, who was born a slave and knew more about powerlessness than most men will ever understand, taught that the only true freedom is the freedom of your own judgment. The moment you hand your inner state to external approval, whether to a parent, a partner, a boss, or a culture, you have made yourself a slave by choice. He said, "Seek not that the things which happen should happen as you wish, but wish the things which happen to be as they are, and you will have a tranquil flow of life." The nice guy does the opposite. He spends his life trying to make things happen in a way that will generate approval. It is exhausting. It never works. And it guarantees he will never be at peace. In romance. Let us start here, because this is where the nice guy's confusion is most acute and most painful. The nice guy believes that if he is kind enough, attentive enough, and self-sacrificing enough, a woman will love him deeply and faithfully. What he experiences instead is a pattern that bewilders and devastates him. She friend zones him, or she dates him, but loses attraction over time. Or she is drawn to men who treat her worse than he would, men who are unavailable, unpredictable, difficult. He cannot understand it. He has been so good to her. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Attraction is not a reward for good behavior. A woman does not feel desire because a man is accommodating. She feels desire because a man has a clear sense of who he is, what he wants, and where he is going, and is not willing to abandon those things to please her. When a nice guy agrees with everything she says, cancels his plans to be available, suppresses his own needs and preferences to keep her comfortable, she does not feel loved. She feels the weight of a man who needs her approval to function. That need is repellent not because she is cruel, but because human beings are wired to be attracted to autonomy, not dependency. Marcus Aurelius wrote about the danger of living for the opinions of others. He was talking about public life, but the principle is identical in romantic life. The man who requires a woman's approval to feel secure will never be attractive to her. Not because attraction is unfair, but because it is honest. It responds to who you actually are, not the performance you are running. The nice guy in romance is not giving love. He is offering a transaction, and she can feel it, even if she cannot name it. In the workplace, the professional cost of nice guy syndrome is significant and often invisible. The nice guy at work is reliable, helpful, and accommodating. He takes on extra tasks without complaint. He never challenges authority. He smooths over conflict and makes himself indispensable through his agreeableness. And he is chronically overlooked for leadership, because leadership requires the willingness to make unpopular decisions, to hold a position under pressure, to disappoint some people in service of the right outcome. None of these things are compatible with the nice guy's core operating system, which is, do not upset anyone. His ideas are borrowed by more assertive colleagues. His lack of self-advocacy is interpreted not as humility, but as a lack of ambition or confidence. He resents the colleagues who are promoted over him, colleagues he privately believes are less competent, but he cannot bring himself to advocate for himself directly. So the resentment festers. Seneca wrote, "It is not that I am brave enough to say this. It is that I have decided the truth matters more than your comfort with me." The nice guy has made the opposite decision, and the workplace mirrors it back to him every time a promotion goes to someone else. In identity. This is perhaps the deepest cost of all, and the least talked about. A man who has spent decades shaping himself to external expectations arrives at a point, often in his 30s or 40s, often triggered by a relationship breakdown or career setback, where he asks himself a simple question: who am I? And he realizes he does not know. He knows what he is supposed to want. He knows the role he plays in other people's lives. He knows the performance. But the actual man underneath, what he believes, what he values, what he wants his life to look like, that man has been buried under years of accommodation. This is not a small thing. This is a crisis. And it often arrives dressed as something else: depression, anxiety, numbness, a vague but persistent sense that life is passing him by, and he is watching it happen rather than living it. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." But a man who does not know his own mind cannot exercise power over it. The nice guy has outsourced his mind. He must take it back. The Stoics did not write self-help manuals. They wrote survival guides. Marcus Aurelius was emperor of the most powerful empire in the world, surrounded by sycophants who told him whatever he wanted to hear, managing wars on multiple fronts, dealing with betrayal, illness, and the weight of impossible decisions. Epictetus was a slave. Seneca was a man of enormous wealth and influence, who spent years under threat of death from an emperor who had once been his student. These were not men who had the luxury of people-pleasing, and they wrote, at length, about why the pursuit of approval is not just ineffective, but philosophically incoherent. The dichotomy of control. The foundational Stoic principle is simple. Some things are in your control, and some things are not. In your control, your judgments, your intentions, your actions, your values. Not in your control, what others think of you, how they treat you, whether they approve of you. The nice guy has inverted this. He spends enormous energy, his most precious resource, trying to control the one thing that is categorically not his to control, the opinions and feelings of other people. And he neglects the one thing that is entirely his, who he chooses to be. Epictetus was direct about this. Never say about anything, I have lost it, but I have returned it. If the people around you withhold approval, that approval was never yours to begin with. It was always borrowed. The Stoic builds on what he owns, virtue as the only good. The Stoics believed that the only true good is virtue, the qualities of character a man cultivates through deliberate choice: courage, justice, wisdom, temperance. Everything else, reputation, approval, comfort, praise, they called preferred indifference. Nice to have, not essential, not worth distorting yourself to obtain. The nice guy has made approval an essential good. He has organized his entire life around something the Stoics would have classified as irrelevant to genuine well-being. This is not a small error. It is a foundational one, and it explains why, despite doing everything right by his own logic, he remains chronically dissatisfied. The reserved act. Marcus Aurelius wrote about what he called the reserved act, acting with intention and full commitment, while simultaneously accepting that the outcome is not within your control. Do the right thing. Give your full effort, and then release attachment to whether it is recognized, appreciated, or rewarded. This is the antithesis of the nice guy's covert contract. The nice guy gives in order to receive. The Stoic gives because giving is the right thing to do, and that is sufficient. The outcome belongs to the universe. The action belongs to him. When you act from genuine virtue rather than approval-seeking, something remarkable happens. You become free. Not reckless, not indifferent to others. Free. The kind of free that allows you to be genuinely kind without resentment, genuinely helpful without manipulation, genuinely present without agenda. That freedom is what the nice guy has been desperately seeking through all his accommodating and agreeing and performing. He has just been looking for it in the wrong place. Getting out of the nice guy trap is not about becoming cold, selfish, or aggressive. It is about becoming honest, with yourself first, then with others. Here is the path as the Stoics would have understood it. Step 1. Recover your opinion. Start noticing what you actually think. Separate from what is socially acceptable to think. This is harder than it sounds if you have spent years suppressing your own perspective. Begin with small things. What do you actually want for dinner? What do you actually think about what your friend just said? What do you actually feel about the situation at work? You do not need to say all of it out loud, not yet. Just know it. Reconnect with your own inner voice. It has been quiet for a long time. Give it room. Step 2. Let approval be a bonus, not a requirement. The Stoic reframe is this: approval is pleasant when it comes. It is not necessary for you to act. Before you speak, before you decide, before you act, check your motivation. Are you doing this because it aligns with your values? Or are you doing it to generate a reaction? If the answer is the latter, pause. Ask yourself, what would I do here if I knew no one would ever find out? If the answer changes significantly, you have found the pattern. Step 3. Honor your own needs directly. The covert contract only works in the dark. When you bring it into the light, when you say clearly what you need, without manipulation, without resentment, without the expectation that the other person should have known, the contract dissolves. Some people will meet your needs. Some will not. Both outcomes are honest. Both are more dignified than the silent transaction. This is one of the most difficult things a recovering nice guy can do. Stating a need directly feels like exposure. It feels like handing someone a weapon. That feeling is the echo of childhood conditioning. It is not the present reality. Step 4. Tolerate disapproval. This is the practice. Every time you hold your position in the face of someone else's displeasure and survive it, every time you say no, and the world does not end, you build evidence against the fear. The nervous system updates. The story changes. Marcus Aurelius practiced what he called negative visualization, deliberately imagining the thing he feared in order to drain it of power. For the nice guy, the feared thing is disapproval. Practice imagining it. Practice experiencing it in small doses. It is not as lethal as your conditioning has led you to believe. Step 5. Act from values, not from fear. Ask yourself, in any given situation, what would a man of good character do here? Not what would keep the peace, not what would make her happy, not what would make you likable. What is the right thing to do? Act from that. Consistently. Over time. And watch what happens to the way people treat you. Because here is what the Stoics knew, and the nice guy has yet to discover. People do not respect the man who gives them everything they want. They respect the man who gives them what they need, which is often the truth, a boundary, a genuine perspective, even when it is uncomfortable. The man who is willing to disappoint you occasionally, who has his own values and his own direction, and will not abandon them for your approval, is the man who earns deep, lasting respect. He is also, not coincidentally, the man who becomes genuinely attractive, not because he plays games or withholds, but because he is a man with a self. And that is rare enough to be remarkable. I want to end with something Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself in the Meditations, not for publication, not for posterity, but for the practice of being honest with himself. He wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." That is the antidote to the nice guy trap. Not a complicated system, not a set of techniques, just that. If it is not right, meaning aligned with your genuine values and your genuine self, do not do it, however much it might please someone. If it is not true, meaning if you do not actually believe it, feel it, or want it, do not say it, however much it might smooth things over. The nice guy was built on a lie, the lie that he had to be endlessly accommodating to be loved. That lie was told to him before he was old enough to question it. He is old enough now. The way out is not hardness. It is honesty. Honest about what you think, honest about what you need, honest about what you will and will not accept. Honest enough to disappoint someone when the alternative is betraying yourself. A man who is honest in that way, genuinely, consistently, without cruelty, is not a nice guy. He is not an aggressive one either. He is something better than both. He is a good man, and good men are not common. Be one. This has been Iron Mind Stoic. If this video found you at the right moment, subscribe. There is more where this came from, and share it with a man who needs to hear it. Until next time, hold the frame.